everybody? Garrett back here. What I want to talk about today is my experience this past weekend at the Chiller Theater Convention in Parsippany, New Jersey. All right, so the Chiller Theater Convention is a convention that started out as a horror convention back in the day and has slowly progressed into more of just like a pop culture, movies, TV shows type convention that I've been going to for the past 10 years. Now, New Jersey is a big area for conventions. They have Monster Mania a couple times a year as a horror convention. I've been going there since probably around 2007. And the other big one is Chiller Theater, which I've been going to since about 2010. Now, being in the movie and horror community, I've met a lot of cool people, and going to these conventions, I've met a lot of cool people along the way. So what we do every year now is we usually meet up once or twice a year in New Jersey, going to either Monster Mania or Chiller. So it's a really cool time to kind of meet up with friends that you don't see more or less during the year. So it's super fun. We usually make a weekend out of it a couple times a year and just meet up and have an awesome time. Now, I've talked about this before. I've been going to conventions for a long time. So a lot of the guests and stuff that I really wanted, I've already gotten in the past. So now it's really nice to be able to go to these conventions and not feel so rushed, enjoy time with friends, meet people, talk to people, and maybe have one or two celebrities that I'm really after for autographs. That makes life a lot less stressful and it's a lot easier on the wallet when I only have one or two that I'm really going after at these conventions, especially now where prices have gotten so high at these things. I know I'm not going to break the bank and can actually enjoy other parts of the convention. So what I usually do is I'll usually head down to New Jersey. I stop at the Archive, which is a real boutique label store that's partners with Vinegar Syndrome that have just so many movies and boutique labels and stuff that I just don't see around my area. So every time I make a trip down to Jersey, I always make sure to stop there. And I usually meet a buddy of mine there and I pick him up and then head down to Jersey for the convention. So what I want to talk about first is just my pickups at the Archive. And then I'm going to go through all the pickups and things I did at Chiller Theater. So again, the Archive is a boutique label, like record store. They have VHS tapes, they have DVDs, they have Blu-rays, all boutique label stuff that you just can't get at any other stores. So what's cool about going in there is sometimes you find things that are out of print on the website that sometimes they do have in stock. There wasn't much I found that I really needed as far as any out of print stuff, but I did pick up a lot of Vinegar Syndrome titles that I just been kind of holding off on, and I knew now was the time I had to pull the trigger. So the first one I grabbed was this Hard Rock Zombies Blu-ray. I mean, man, I love this artwork. I have this movie on DVD, but it's been a real long time since I've seen this. So I think giving it a nice upgraded transfer is going to be a whole new experience watching this thing. And I mean, this cover art is fantastic on this. And what's kind of nice too is it's actually a double feature with Slaughterhouse Rock. So Slaughterhouse Rock is a movie that I've seen. I have on Blu-ray from Code Red already. So I don't really need this in my collection, but I think it's pretty cool as far as a space saver on my shelves, having both of these on the same disc. So this next movie I actually had on DVD, so I upgraded from a double pack, which I think I already have the other movie on Blu-ray as well, which was Fraternity Vacation. Now this was another one I haven't seen in quite a while, and it's Reformed Schoolgirl. So I picked this thing up on Blu-ray, very cool cover art, nice box. So the next one I did not own. I've actually never seen this before, but the cover looks like something that's right up my alley. I don't know if it's the name. I don't know if it's the cover or the artwork. But man, you guys can tell me, did I make a big mistake on this one? Because this was really a blind buy for me. And it's Slash Dance from one of Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels, Culture Shock Releasing. And the last one I picked up is something I've never seen as well. But man, this is my style. I really love like 80s and 90s action movies. This one stars Billy Blanks, and man, I haven't seen this, but it's also a VSA title, which is Vinegar Syndrome's kind of limited edition, so I knew I had to grab this, and it's Talons of the Eagle. Now look how 90s action this looks on the cover here. This is so killer. And in the back, it's got like another artwork as well, Talons of the Eagle. Now this says, when you're fighting crime, killing is a way of life. Now, I have not seen this, but I do have a bunch of Billy Blanks movies from this time that I thoroughly enjoy, so I knew I wanted this one in my collection. And the last thing I picked up at the Archive was actually a DVD. Now, if you watched any past episodes, we did a little retrospective on this, and I'm actually a sucker for anything Anchor Bay. So a lot of those old Anchor Bay titles I'm a sucker for, things that I may have had that I had sold, or things maybe I just never got my hands on, but now seeing them used out in the wild, I always want to kind of pick them up. Now, this is a Dawn of the Dead DVD. Now, I never had this edition in my collection at all. I had a bunch of different Dawn of the Deads, but not this one. This is the anniversary edition of the U.S. theatrical cut, and I always like this like kind of different colors on the artwork here. I always liked this one. I never had it. So, man, you know it's Anchor Bay. It's got the little boat logo there. I mean, this is just classic, and I'm so happy to have found this to add in my collection because, man, I just love these old Anchor Bays. It brings back so many memories, and to have another Dawn of the Dead, I just think is super cool. So again, this is a pretty cool edition of the US theatrical cut of Dawn of the Dead from Anchor Bay. As we roll on to the Chiller convention, after the archive, I headed down to Chiller. Got there about 4 o'clock on Friday, maybe a little bit earlier. I think it was about 4. So what I usually do at conventions, and man, I want to do a video about this, kind of like Convention 101, just because I've been going for so long that I had mistakes that I made in the past, things that I like to do now to just either save time or do things right, maybe what kind of pens I use, what things I get signed. So if you guys think that would be a pretty cool video, if you're newer to conventions, let me know. I'd love to do a Convention 101 video and maybe even have my buddy Jay on here with me, who's another big poster collector and convention goer that I've been going to conventions with for a long time. We can definitely give you some tips of the trade on when it comes to going to these horror conventions on how to save time and money. Now, what we usually do is we usually get our big autographs out of the way first. So Friday is not as busy as Saturday. I think they opened about 6 p.m. on Friday night. So headed to the hotel, met up with some friends, hung out in the hotel room a little bit, and then went down to the convention Friday evening. Now, there's a bunch of different things going on Friday night. So the first thing that I made sure to do was I made sure to go get Peter Weller's autograph, who was the main person that I was going there for. If you've watched my channel before, I'm a huge Peter Weller fan, things like RoboCop and the movie I talk about all the time, Firstborn. Now, going in, I was contemplating about getting a photo op with Peter Weller, which, again, I really wanted. I don't do a lot of photo ops. I usually will save it for really big stars or people that I'm a real big fan of. Maybe I'll get one at every convention or every other convention based on who the guests are. Peter Weller was one I definitely would have wanted, but he was going for $100 for a photo op. And man, I just don't think that was worth it for me, especially because I was going to get his autograph as well. And I was planning on buying some merch and stuff there. So $100 for a photo op, I would have loved to do it, but I did not pull the trigger on that. But I did, however, get his autograph. And I was even thinking about getting his autograph a couple times. But the way things are priced now is really, really weird. It's like, you know, for his name, it's one price. If you ask him to write a quote, it's like a little bit more. It's just a little bit weird, and he's not the only one. It's just something that I'm seeing a lot more now at conventions. Sometimes even like the size of your item, or if you're bringing an item from home rather than grabbing from the table, the pricing is different, and I just don't really like that. So I did meet Peter Weller. I had heard mixed things about him, so I wasn't sure exactly what kind of vibe I was going to get from him. I just knew that I definitely wanted something signed. Now, I found a unique piece. I think Sam Gilby, I think his last name is. I always get it wrong. It's either the Ghibli or Gilby, but he's a real good artist. And I think I got this print from Hero Complex Gallery. If you're into kind of different kind of posters and print and artwork, these are different sites that I go to. Now, this is a really unique piece for Peter Weller, also a RoboCop piece. And I think it was limited to about 40 prints, and I knew this was something I wanted. I grabbed this about 6 months ago with the idea of getting this signed here at Chiller. Now, I'm going to show really quick. I did, however, on the way home, pick up a frame that I think looks really cool with this thing. And let me know what you guys think here. So I hope I don't get any glare, but here's the print. Now, look how cool this looks, guys. This is like Peter Weller with like a RoboCop helmet kind of traced in like lasers. It almost looks like something from Tron. And he signed it down below. He wrote Peter Weller, Murphy, RoboCop on the bottom there in silver metallic. It looks really, really sharp. So what I did was I got a metallic silver metal frame for this, and I think it really just pops a lot. And I can't wait to kind of hang this up. Just got to find a spot for it. I think it's about 11 by 14. It's a limited to 40 prints. And I don't think he'd ever seen this before, because when I came up to his table and showed him and his handler were very much in awe over this. Like, wow, that's really cool. Look at that. That's killer. It looks just like him, blah, blah. And they had never seen something like this before. Now, I got it signed, and I mentioned to Peter Weller what a big fan I was of Firstborn. And when I said that to him, he like lit up and was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Really? Like, nobody ever talks to me about that. And I'm like, man, your performance in there is like bar none. Like, It's incredible. I love it. I wish more people talked about it. He goes, oh my God, I thank you so much. I'd love to talk about that. And he put his fist out to give me a fist bump. Now, that's not what I was expecting from Peter Weller, because I have heard a lot of stories that, he can come off a little bit off-putting, but he was so nice to me and like so genuine and super nice. And I don't know if it had to just do with the fact that I brought up a movie that maybe not many people talked to him about. It's probably mostly RoboCop, or maybe it was this print, or maybe a combination of both. But he really seemed excited about this print, and him and his handler both said to me, listen, I don't know if you usually do this, but this is such a unique piece and it looks really sharp. I would definitely go over to the GSA authentic table and spend $10 to get this thing a certificate of authenticity. So you know what I did? I've never done that before at a convention. I see these things there all the time. I always pass them by. I figure, hey, I got a picture with them signing it usually, or, if I ever decide to sell this, I know it's real. But I guess that's really important to a lot of collectors. So because this piece was so unique, I knew I had to do it. So I did get the little certificate of authenticity saying that this is real, just in case I ever need to part with this at some point. And I'm sure, as time goes on and people start passing away, this thing will just become a little bit more valuable. So I made that decision to do it just because him and his handler both really suggested it. And it's the first time I've ever heard a celebrity talk about that at all. So it was a little bit interesting. But man, I could not have been happier with my experience with Peter Weller. I do wish I had something else signed from him. I do wish I got the photo up, because it would be so cool to have hanging up. But man, it just comes down to, what I wanted to spend my money on that weekend. And I felt that that was just a little bit much that I wanted to spend. Maybe next time he comes around, I'll do it just because I may not need anything else signed. So we will see if he ever comes around again. But I knew I didn't want to pass up this opportunity to meet Peter Weller, because he is one of my favorite actors. So the next thing I did was I met another celebrity with my friend Tom. We met Deborah Goodrich. She actually plays Debbie in a movie called Just One of the Guys. Now, if you guys know, I did do an episode on here talking about Just One of the Guys, because it is one of my favorite comedies from back in the 80s. Now, my friend Tom is another huge fan, so we made sure we wanted to meet her because it was actually her first ever convention. So definitely wanted to jump on that, and she couldn't have been nicer. Man, we talked for a little while. She spends time in my area, so she was kind of talking to me about that. Super sweet lady. You guys may know her more from April Fool's Day. They had an April Fool's Day reunion there as well with like Amy Steele and Deborah Foreman and Deborah Goodrich. And I think there was 4 people from April Fool's Day there. But Deborah Goodrich is the one that I really wanted to meet because I'm just such a big fan of her and Just One of the Guys. So I got my picture taken with her. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see that. And I think I'm going to post it at the end of this video and do like a little montage collage of all the pictures and videos I did get throughout the weekend. Now here's the 8x10 I got of her. This is her at that last scene of Just One of the Guys at the prom. So it says Deborah Goodrich there, Debbie. Or Deborah was her name in the movie. So, man, super nice. You guys probably know exactly who I'm talking about by this picture here. Like I said, she couldn't have been nicer. And I'm so happy I was able to meet her as well. So then what we did was we kind of scoured the vendor's room and checked it out. Now, I'm going to be quite honest. The chiller vendors are not the greatest. It's always very similar every year on them, but there's not many I like. I mean, there's a lot like bootleggers, people that are selling just like kind of random toys. Like there's not many big name companies that we see on the internet like Gutter Garbs or Fright Rags or Nightmare Toys or Trick or Treat Studios. Like there's none of those there. The only 2 main ones that I was really looking at was Severn and Vinegar Syndrome. So as we were kind of scouring through, there was a couple different vendors that I really liked some of their stuff. I think one was called like Unmasked or something. I found them on Instagram and I'm going to check them out. What they were doing was they were taking like these metal signs that were really shiny and taking VHS artwork and making them into these little signs. They looked awesome. I think they were going about $70 a piece though. But I definitely want to check more of their stuff out on the site because it is something cool that I think would be nice hanging in the movie room. So going out to Vinegar Syndrome's table, like I said, I just left the archive and bought a bunch of Vinegar Syndrome, so I was seeing a lot of the same stuff at the table. The only thing I did grab Vinegar Syndrome was the Scream Queen documentary. If you guys know this one, it's the one that Mark Patton did, Scream Queen documentary. It's really, really cool. Back says claws out. So this is an awesome documentary. I actually have this on DVD when they released it. I pre-ordered it on his website. It came with a poster, a limited edition poster from Matt Ryan Tobin, signed by him and I think the person who directed the documentary. So I did already have it on DVD, but such a cool release. I wanted to kind of support him, and it was a partner label for Vinegar Syndrome, so they did a lot of nice stuff with this. So if you guys haven't checked out Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, I would definitely check this out. It's a documentary talking about Mark Patton's life and experience with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. All right, so that kind of wrapped up what I did on the first night. Like I said, what made it nice was I got all my autographs out of the way. And then we just kind of hung out in the hotel room with a bunch of people, watched some movies, hung out. And then I did forget, I did have a photo op that I paid for and pre-ordered. And it was an Amy Steele photo op, a limited photo op where she actually dressed in her character, Ginny. And they had like Mrs. Voorhees there, like the head and the candles. And she had a knife and we kind of posed. And it was like a special photo op they did. And the price was really good for it. So I definitely jumped on. I think it might have been $50 for that. And I pre-ordered it a long time ago because I knew it was something I really wanted to do because it was just pretty unique. And I love that character. She's probably my favorite final girl from all the Friday the 13th series. So I did get that done on Friday night, but it was like 10:30 at night. So at that point, the convention was like way over. I was hanging out in the room with some friends. I remember I had to leave, go get that done really quick and come back. But I'll have that picture at the end of this video in a little montage collage. If you want to see it better, you can check out my Instagram at Born2beRad. I did post that Friday night on there so you guys can check it out. All right, so Saturday morning, we headed down there. It was packed. There was so many people there, but what was cool is I did see some people that had watched the show. I did see some other fellow YouTubers, and I did see some buddies of mine from the Dead Pit universe, people who have been on the shows with me with Dead Pit, that have other YouTube channels as well. So I did take a couple pictures with people that I finally met in person at the convention. So I knew the biggest thing I wanted to do that day was head over to Severn's table. They were having a real strong deal. I think it was like 3 for $50. And knowing Severn, sometimes their titles go in like the 30s. So to have 3 for $50, I thought was really, really cool. And what else they did, which I didn't realize on Friday, was they had a limited edition Blu-ray for a movie that I had never heard of. And it was a Chiller exclusive. And that's because the guy who played Dracula in this movie was actually at the convention. Now, I walked by Severn's table Friday night. I didn't grab anything. I was trying to think of things I needed. And they did have a couple of these copies of this Blu-ray. But I was like, it's not really my thing. So I don't know. I'm going to pass on it. And then when I got back to the room and I was looking up different Severn titles that I needed, I realized that this was like a limited time, only at the convention Blu-ray. And you could get it signed by the Dracula for free if you bought it. So I was like, maybe I'll check it out. So Saturday morning, we ran right down to Severn table just to kind of see what they had. And they only had like 3 left. So when we got down there, those limited edition Blu-rays, they had 3 left. They had sold out of everything Friday night pretty much. And then Saturday morning when we got to that table, there was only 3 left. And it was me and my 2 buddies that went there. And we each just said, you know what, let's just each grab one because we're not sure what this thing is, if it's good, if it's not. But being so limited, I wanted to make sure I picked it up just in case this thing comes pretty valuable. And that is Dracula vs. Frankenstein. Now, if you can see up top here, it does have an autograph. It says Xandar Varnoff, and he played Dracula. So if you guys know anything about this movie, I did pick it up just because there was only 3 left on the table. And it also comes with another movie called Brain of Blood. So, I don't know. Thought this was okay. I didn't get a chance to check it out, but I thought it was okay to grab just because, again, this might be the only way I could have gotten this thing. And this might become valuable someday just because it's being so limited. So, if anybody knows anything about Dracula vs. Frankenstein, let me know because I haven't even put this in yet. But thought it was a pretty cool concept that if you bought this, you got it signed for free by the guy who played Dracula. And I just thought that was pretty cool. So that was a title from Severn that I picked up. And the last thing I picked up on Saturday was I did end up getting 3 movies from Severn for $50. And it was 3 that I've been eyeing. And I'm going to show you guys what it is now. So the first one was that Don't Go in the House. I've been eyeing this one for a while. So it come with the slip. And I know Arrow put out a version as well, but man, for the price point, I could not go wrong. So I grabbed Don't Go in the House. I grabbed this one, which I've really been eyeing. It seems very much up my alley, but I know nothing about this. And it's that Out of the Blue movie that they released. And yes, I know they are going to release a 4K of this later this year. But you know what? It's not probably one I need on 4K. And for the price point of 3 for $50, I needed to grab 3 movies. And I figured, hey, why not? I'll grab it now. I don't really think I need a 4K of this. This will do just fine. And the last one I picked up, I've seen this for years. I never owned it. So they recently just came out with a Blu-ray of it. And that is a movie called Stone. It's a biker movie from, I think, the 80s, maybe the 70s. But I can remember seeing this. Yeah, 1974. I can remember seeing this on DVD a long time ago. I never purchased it, never watched it. But I just always remember seeing this movie kind of on the shelves. So I figured I needed to pick one more movie that I didn't own from the stack of 3 for $50. So I figured, hey, why not? It just came out. Might as well get a good deal on it and check this thing out. So guys, that's my haul from Chiller Theater this weekend. Like I said, I went to the archive first, grabbed a bunch of Vinegar Syndrome stuff, grabbed the Vinegar Syndrome title from that table, grabbed some Severn stuff, got a couple autographs, got a photo op. It was actually a real cool lineup, and I could have went even more crazy because the big draw was the Back to the Future reunion, which was awesome. It had pretty much everybody except for Crispin Glover and Michael J. Fox there. Now, I could have did a lot of damage on my wallet because I don't have everybody's autograph from that movie, and it is probably my favorite movie of all time. But there was just so many side characters in that movie, it's just really hard for me to just load up and get all those signatures. It was super cool to see everybody there and having fun with each other and the people going nuts because, again, Back to the Future to me is just so special, and I'm so happy that they get to do that reunion. Unfortunately, like I said, I did not go that route and spend any money on it, but it was really cool to see everybody there. So, man, guys, let me know again, what do you think of some of these titles I grabbed? Have you seen Out of the Blue? Have you seen Stone? What about that Dracula vs. Frankenstein? Was that a good pickup? Guys, let me know your thoughts. Were you at Chiller? I didn't spend a ton of time there on Saturday. I actually ended up going to lunch. We kind of walked around because I did get a lot of the stuff I wanted done on Friday. And like I said, the vendor tables weren't the greatest there. So we didn't spend a lot of time at that. We just kind of walked around, cruised the convention, and just hung out. And the DeLorean was there, so that was cool as well. But man, I just wanted to run through it really quick. Check out this montage I have. I don't have a lot of footage, but just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that went on and hanging out with some people that I had met and people I have never met in person until now. So gang, again, thank you so much for checking this out. Hopefully you liked my haul. Let me know what you think of that RoboCop print as well that I'm going to try to hang up somewhere in the movie room. And guys, speaking of that, I did hit 1,000 subs, and I told you my big video is going to be my movie room tour. That is being worked on currently. My house is almost done with renovations. As soon as this is cleaned and clear, I'm going to start filming that. Keep your eyes and ears peeled because I'm also going to be doing a big stream, a 1,000 subscriber stream, having guests and giveaways and stuff coming to my channel very soon. So thank you so much for your support. This is Garrett at Born2beRad, and like always, stay rad.
celebration. Though we